And I have no idea why, when we asked for the, Mr. Jones, I'm talking to you too, when we asked for the records, you know, for their employment records, why it was held up. That just made us look dirty. That just made the city of Fullerton look really bad, and it was disgusting that it held up. You need to participate. United we stand, divided we fall. We've all come together to do what we can. We need to do what we can, and there's a time and a place for everything. I don't like to throw things in people's faces, but I do need to remind you there was a recall, and that's why a lot of you are sitting up there, and because we believe in you, and we know that you're here to do the right thing. I know you can't give your opinions, but I hope to God that you do the right thing, because Sissy should have never been hired in the first place, Pat McKinley. I'm really glad that we did get Pat out of this city, because he was where a lot of the dirt started. Sellers was just wrong in itself, and I'm glad that we scared him out of the city too. And I'm glad that we were able to, at least the strong ones and the knowledgeable ones, have stood behind you, Dan. And DiCaprio, I just can't say thank you enough for everything that you've done for this community. And with police officers like you, I really hope that those police officers that are standing behind me right now and all throughout the city, that they do understand that there are good cops out there. And I do believe there are good cops out there, but the sad thing is there are bad cops out there. And when they're bad, you need to say something, you need to do something. Because to tell you the God's honest truth, those 3 cops that are still on the force, it's gross. And I know that they would own the city if we fired them, but they shouldn't be there. And I hope that they're scared, because there are a lot of angry people out here, and I hope that we can decide to come together and unite and work together. I really do. So out with the bad and in with the good. Thank you.
Thank you, Christine.
We are on speaker number 5, so it's 6 through 10 would please come line up. And if you could remember to please lean into the microphones when you speak. Apparently the folks at home really want to hear what you're saying, and they can't hear every word.
Okay. Hello, I'm Sherry. I'm glad, Dan, that you've gone with an outside firm that really shows us that you are working on this and dealing with this. You and I have talked before several times. You had mentioned going with the video device, much like the DAR. I hope you're still leaning on that and working on that. I hope with this firm that you're looking really heavily at the physically fit, and also at that they remain that way, not just when they get onto the force, and that the people that you hire are not receiving any kind of disability pension from any other job, regardless if it's law enforcement or not. I agree, Cicinelli should have never been hired. He still, to this day, receives a disability pension from LAPD. That should not have happened. I sat in court, and I was just dismayed and amazed at the officer's testimony that both Ramos and Cicinelli and all the other officers were trained to do what they did, and that was okay. I want to say I appreciate that the officers were, I guess, ordered to stand down on Saturday until things kind of got out of hand. It made it very nice for us to get out there and do what we wanted to do. However, unfortunately, and I would like to speak with you at break time, and hopefully with the 2 women on council, because I had an encounter that was embarrassing, degrading, and humiliating, so much so that I can't even say it here. I went out on camera and in front of the audience with 3 officers. And I've tried to call you today and yesterday, and I've left messages. So anyways, I want to also, I know I'm supposed to speak to you guys, give a shout out to whoever did the tagging. You people are disgusting. We live here. We have to look at it. I'm thankful for Bax, who cleaned up the window at Slide Bar. You people who tagged out at the memorial, you desecrated somebody's memorial. That's like going into a cemetery and tagging a tombstone. You are sick, hateful people. I want to give a shout out to Genevieve Huizar, who lost a son in Anaheim to law enforcement, and Sonia Hernandez, who lost a brother. They themselves started a band, and Corey Klein, who's in the audience, helped to protect the slide bar from being damaged by protesters. And I wish I had written it down. I would love to quote Genevieve, who she said something to the effect, "We are not violent. We do protect others," something that law enforcement needs to learn. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Good evening. My name is Tony Brandenburg. I live in the city of Sierra Madre, California. In the fall of 2010, in subsequent months, my then 7-year-old autistic son was petitioned out of our neighborhood public school by an aggressive group of parent vigilantes who did not understand his behavior. This was accompanied by surveillance of our home, calls to the local police department, and false reports filed against my child, calls to Child Protective Services, frequent physical restraints and isolation by staff of the Pasadena Unified School District, and the eventual escorts to school by our local police department. One of the many heroes in this sad struggle we have endured was a local police officer who was the first responder to the school one morning and who recognized in my child a behavior pattern that he recognized in a member of his own family. In the years that have followed, we found a community support in what we erroneously believed was the most unlikely of places, the police department. In the fall of 2011, my wife and I began our active participation in protesting the circumstances surrounding the horrific death of Kelly Thomas, and befriended the people that you are familiar with here in the city, many of whom we've known for more than 20 years. We, like many people, are haunted and fearful for our communities by not only what transpired in July of 2011, but by the court ruling that was delivered last week. We will never accept the verdict of the 12 accomplices that served on the jury, nor the verbiage spewed by the accomplices on the defense team. We are hardly novel in that regard. We believe the civil rights of Kelly Thomas, a man with mental illness, as protected by the Americans with Disabilities Act, were violated. The Bill of Rights of any agency does not supersede the United States Constitution. I promise you this is far from over. We will continue to support the family of Kelly Thomas and of any families who are vilified by members of their community, whether it be by law enforcement, by appropriate policies, by school districts, by mental health facilities, or by any agency designed and designated to serve all, not just some members of our community. Chief Hughes, I thank you for the position you've taken. If there are petitioners to your local police department who have failed your community, under no circumstances should they be even considered for rehire. Tonight my intentions are very simple. I wish to ask this board and the members of this community to learn about and design a memorandum of understanding between your school districts and your police department for responses to all members of your student population. This component is part of your school district's Safe Schools Plan. Know what your police department's response plan is when they are called to a school on an agency assist. I could not find this online. My second intention is to ask that you yourselves and your school personnel and your police department learn about differences in behavioral responses by some of our citizens. We do not all respond under the same under stress.
Can you please wrap up?
I will. I'm sorry. It's very intimidating for any citizen to be asked to look a group of men in the eyes, maybe not even understanding what that means. A person with autism and mental illness does not understand this. Complex and multi-step commands given to an individual is not only intimidating but disorientating for many typical citizens. It's even more so for a person with mental illness.
Thank you, sir. We need others need to speak. Okay, thank you.
I appreciate it. I'm sorry, I tried myself
that's all right.
poorly.
I know you have a story. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next speaker, please.
Memorandum of understanding.
Hi, my name is Johanna Falke, and I am a resident of Costa Mesa. I've been a supporter of Kelly Thomas for the past 2.5 years. And I just had a couple things I just had to get off my chest tonight. A 1998 LA Times article stated that although it pained the department to conclude that Cicinelli could no longer serve as a patrol officer, it was an obvious and necessary decision to ensure the safety of all Los Angeles police officers and residents alike. They already knew. They knew the possibility that Cicinelli may have undergone severe trauma that has never been adequately addressed is even worse. And now to add to it, his involvement in the beating death of Kelly Thomas. And how about Ramos, expressing his love for cholas who will beat a bitch down and selling accused t-shirts, which in my opinion is not appropriate behavior for a cop who was on trial at the time for second-degree murder. His comments are disturbing, cruel, thug-like, and very inappropriate. I think that when a defenseless homeless man is beaten to death on our streets by police officers sworn to protect and serve and then found not guilty by our court system, it is a little more than outrageous. It is unsettling, and I do not support this verdict whatsoever. As a tarnished city, Mayor Chafee and City Council members, you need to continue to move forward and support Captain Dan Hughes in his decision to not rehire Cicinelli, Ramos, or Wolf. Please consider this common goal we have, and that's to clean up the police department. As Albert Einstein said, the world will not be destroyed by those who do evil, but by those who watch them without doing anything. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Mr. Dwyer.
Yes, Richard Dwyer, 12-year resident. Kind of chilling to listen to Mr. Jones talk about the rights of the officers. So what rights did Kelly Thomas have the night that they beat him to death? Don't understand that at all. They got all these rights that they can go through. It's just, why are we going to waste our money on that? Those guys were guilty. As far as I'm concerned, their verdict was just unbelievable. Just, what more do they want in that video? I mean, Cicinelli comes out and he says, well, I beat his face to hell. There's an admission of guilt right there. I mean, you watch the video, you can only see one thing. It was a murder. And how they got away with it is just unbelievable. I'm not surprised, but I'm very angry that we have to wait longer now for justice. Kelly Thomas didn't have any rights the night that he was killed. And for what? For sitting on a curb, doing nothing, done nothing wrong, didn't commit any crimes or anything, and they still beat him to death. Just thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Yes, so the members of the City Council, my name is Jack Arborino. I'm not from this city, but I just want to say that Kelly Thomas' cries for justice still ring out to all people's fathers, mothers, brothers, sisters, and citizens all over the country. Do the right thing by rejecting the rehiring of Jay Cicinelli, killer of a helpless soul. Do the right thing as the nation is watching who steps up to lead against violence towards mentally ill people. As a father, I'm appalled. I will not allow my sons to even party in this city as long as you have those 3 cops that are still employed by your city. Okay. Thank you.
We are on speaker number 10, so if 11 through 15 would please come line up.
Good evening, Mayor Chafee and members of the City Council and Chief Hughes and other department heads of the city. A lot of people are very angry tonight. We realize you weren't on the jury, and that's just the point. Somehow, you know, we have a contradictory situation going on here. One of the more alarming things to come out of the recent trial, aside from the verdict itself, was the testimony of current police officers that the accused did not or barely violated department policy in their actions the night that Kelly Thomas was beaten into brain death. It's hard for many of us to reconcile that apparent contradiction, and so I think many of us would like to hear something from Chief Hughes regarding that testimony and whether or not, in fact, that kind of behavior is acceptable in current training. So we thank you in advance for that attention. You know, ultimately what happened is a man is dead, and yet no one of these has been held responsible in the legal sense. And you know, there's people feel powerless. There's almost nothing we can do about it, and for that reason, I would like you to consider reopening the topic of civilian police oversight in Fullerton. We need a civilian advocate there. It cannot be completely left up to the city council. Somebody has to be there to represent the people of this city, the residents of this city. And anybody who would like to find out more information can find us on Facebook at Police Oversight Proposal Committee. You can find that at facebook.com/POPC2012. That's POPC 2012. And I thank you in advance for your attention to that matter.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Chief of Police Sam Hughes. I was actually in the Citizens Academy not too long ago, and I still see you guys as my heroes, my family, advocates, police officers, and we love police officers. My brother wanted to be a police officer, but a few months after I graduated from Citizens Academy, the Kelly Thomas thing happened, and I was really disappointed. I couldn't believe it. It didn't make sense to me. And I talked to 30 other families who they lost their children because of police brutality. And I don't want this to happen anymore. This is very unacceptable. I just wanted people to know that we the people have a lot of power. We have to stand up for what's right. I'm really glad that a lot of people filmed exactly what happened. And Chief Dan Hughes, thank you again. I can't thank you enough. But that's basically it. I'm very thankful that Mr. Thomas is really brave. You're an amazing father, sir, and I can't imagine the pain that you feel every day, but just know that all of us are here for you. And thank you, people of Fullerton. Thank you, Coast to Coast, for doing what you do for the homeless population. And just know that I just wish for a community where we can run to police officers instead of run from them. For women who are running away from sexual assault, I wish they could go to the police instead of fear that from the police. I wish that children who are looking for safety can go to the police officers instead of fear for their lives, that they have to be racial profiled or stopped at first by police. I know that it's very hard what you guys go through. My brother went through the Explorer, I went through Citizens Academy, did a lot of ride-alongs. You guys are awesome. Just please take out those people, and thank you for your decision not to rehire them. It really means a lot to us, so thanks.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Hi, my name is Stephen Baxter. I'm a resident of Fullerton, and I've been an advocate for getting justice, in this case of Kelly Thomas. Very disappointed in the verdict, of course. You're not responsible. In fact, the citizens of Fullerton were pretty much the only aspect of this entire thing that has gone right. The citizens of Fullerton, this community stepped up. Unlike any other community in the history of California, came together, along with this family, for 2.5 years, to try to get this young man justice. The system failed Kelly Thomas, and ultimately Kelly Thomas will never get justice in the traditional sense. It did not fail him because he's homeless. It failed him because he's not a cop. The system is predisposed to favor the police. So we're just dealing with that reality. Now, the reasons for the not guilty verdict are beyond me, but I know part of it must be the fact that 2 officers currently employed by this city, Stephen Rubio and Kevin Craig, came to the defense of Ramos and Cincinnati. Stephen Rubio said that, all things considered, they didn't violate any policies or procedures. When they beat him, when they tasered him, when the taser ran out and they flipped it and they beat him some more, when they left him for dead and did nothing for him, when they mocked him, when they escalated this situation, none of that is in violation of the policy? I don't know what the policy is. But if that's why it's a not guilty, then culpability has just shifted to the department itself. By finding Cincinnati and Ramos not guilty, we have condemned the Fullerton Police Department. If the reason for that not guilty are the policies and procedures and the training of these officers. That's the math. And if we can accept that, then we must do something about it. And that something is we need to take a look at what these policies and procedures are. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Adam Alder, longtime resident of Fullerton. That trial was a sham. It was a complete sham. Mr. Rakakis, out of the 100 eyewitnesses that could have been called to the stand, the other videos didn't call one. It was the limpest case I ever saw. So, of course I don't accept that verdict. There was no justice, as that is the case many, many times. So that's my thoughts on that. Please do not hire those officers back. And it's a disgrace that those 3 that murdered Kelly Thomas are still on the force. Now switching to Saturday, the protest I was there. Don't condone violence or tagging any of that as bad news. But what I will say is we still have a big problem in the police department with the dark heart of their souls and what they do and think. I was arrested, and for complying, by the way. And when I was in the paddy wagon, we had a cop lean in and say, taking you to Santa Ana and throwing you to a pack of 12 sheriffs will smash your fucking face. Excuse my language. And then right after that, another one leaned in and said, I got 2 words for you guys. Not guilty. Ha 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 ha. So we have a situation where the justice system is a farce. And we as citizens, I turn around and I look, and there's a cop. I don't know what's going to happen. And being in jail with the other protesters, I got to hear a lot of stories of what they experienced. And when I got out, I looked at the videos that were online. One, by the way, has 180,000 views, where police undercovers, after the dispersal order was given, protesters went to Kelly's Corner and all over the city, and undercover cars were driving around the city and jumping out and snatching protesters and charging them with failure to disperse, even though they were long away from the police department, as I was. So his comments of not guilty, ha ha ha, is just a sick twist of it all. And what do? These guys beat him to death and punctured his eye under camera. We had a limp dick prosecutor that did the weakest case you could imagine, didn't call one eyewitness, didn't call other videos. Even the jury foreman was an intern in 2011 for Rakakis. The jury foreman, out of the thousands of people that they could have chose for jury, he was an intern. So just think about these things. Absolutely do not hire these guys back. And thanks for your time.
Thank you.
I don't have a thing
please, you must address the council.
I don't have anything to say to the people behind me. Because this,
turn off the mic, please.
Is an illegitimate system behind me. These police are as corrupt as the people.
I'm sorry, you must address the council.
You are letting the police officers kill people on the street. So what I do have to say is that a number of people agree that they are asking the police to change.
Excuse me, please, this is not, we have a democracy and we try to respect people.
I don't need to talk to you.
Well, then please talk to these other people outside the chambers. There are others who... Just let her go. Okay.
Call for a break.
Not you. I don't have anything to say. But no.
The council will take a 10-minute break at this time.